If Agatha All Along doesn't give us a Parks and Rec reunion of Andy and April, but instead with Star-Lord and Rio, you gotta cancel the whole show. But on a more serious note, I watched the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along, so here's my thoughts on it. Now, I honestly thought episode 1 was a very solid starting point for the show. I really like the vibes of it, and honestly, I could have gone with more of the show being based around this whole detective lifestyle that Agatha was living while she was under Wanda's spell. I was kind of sad we got out of that so quickly. But everything with that and her finding Wanda's body, I thought was done really well, and then obviously we get her kind of breaking free, realizing who she really is, that she is this witch. Aubrey Plaza is easily my favorite part of both episodes, but particularly episode 1 where she has a lot more to do. I think the dynamic between these two is really interesting. It seems very obvious that they once were together and now they're exes, but who knows, there could be a different relationship there. Aubrey Plaza just fits into this atmosphere so perfectly, and honestly, every time she wasn't on screen, I was kind of thinking like, hey, let's just get back to Aubrey Plaza's character Rio. She was more interesting than a lot of the other stuff going on, although Catherine Hahn is very good in this show. You can tell she's having a blast. Episode 2 I thought was a little bit of a downgrade because I feel like we just spent way too much time recruiting these different witches. Honestly, I wish they just spent like an extra 15 minutes in episode 1 doing that instead of spending like 30 minutes in a different episode going around to all these witches. Because honestly, it just got kind of boring pretty quickly. I mean, some of the gags were pretty funny with the witches trying to blend into the real world of them doing things like selling candles and being psychic readers. I think the episode definitely spent way too much time getting to the witches road, and I kind of wish we got here, like I said, at the end of episode 1 and then had an entire second episode in the witches road so that we could really see what the series is going to be about. Because as of right now, I really don't know what to expect from the show still after 2 episodes. I think a 3-episode premiere would have been perfect. I did think Mrs. Hart was very funny. Her just going and grabbing this neighbor and pretty much pulling her into the witch's road and her just going along with it. It was a pretty good bit. We have the other character just named Teen as of right now because every time he tries to say his name or any information about him, it gets blurred out. I think it seems very obvious that he's going to be Billy Maximoff, but that almost seems too obvious. I think we might be in for like a Ralph Boner situation. All I'm going to say is don't get your hopes up too much on this being some massive reveal. It could just be some really obscure or original character that nobody's even going to really care about when he does finally reveal who he is, but it definitely could be something interesting later on. My biggest complaint about this show is that it feels like it's so desperately trying to capitalize on the hype of like Wandavision and things like Wednesday, going for that like Tim Burton style, but the show doesn't have Tim Burton, so it's kind of held back by that. Because I do think the show is doing a good job with some of the more horror-based elements. I kind of hope we lean more into that, like the stuff with the Salem 7 we saw at the end of the first episode that are chasing Billy Maximoff or whoever that kid is down. I really hope we get more stuff like that. So as I've said, it just feels like a lot of setup as of right now. Hopefully episode 3 is an absolute banger now that they have that out of the way, and if you've seen it so far, let me know what you'd rate it 1 through 10 in the comments below. Right now, I think I'm going to give the first 2 episodes a solid like 6.5 out of 10.